It's finally time to address the biggest elephant in the room, and that would be unbacked claims. But before that, I'm wanting to address a few things before I get into those unbacked claims, so I'll be talking about the basic logic involving hacks from verse to verse. This goes into knowledge versus belief, and then I'll be covering the idea that attacks that have an element move at the speed of the element. Then I'll be covering those unbacked, unverified, unproven statements that everyone still uses to play their favorites so that their favorite character is what wins in the versus community. Cool, so getting into it, how does hacks work from a character in one series on another character in a different series? So the idea is, it seems simple enough. This person can do X thing, can the other person handle it? The problem is the logic. So this is where knowledge versus belief comes in. We as people have things we believe in with or without probable cause. And then there are things we claim we know or believe in to such a degree that it would be world-changing to find we were wrong. Examples would be like, I believe I will get my paycheck next week. I believe my car will start when I turn the key. I believe I'll eat food tomorrow. These are things of which I can't say I know, and any of them could be false, but none are world-changing. Paychecks get misplaced, cars break, engines stall. You get the idea. The fabric of my reality hasn't changed. However, I have reasonable instances to point to for why I would believe these things, as I've gotten paychecks many times before. I have pay stubs. My car has, up till now, started every time I've turned the key. So, knowledge, on the other hand, is like, I know the sun will rise tomorrow. It's not as simple like, of course you believe that the sun will rise tomorrow. It is a subset of knowledge. But it's a higher degree. So when you say I know the sun will rise tomorrow, I know my wife exists. I know anime is something people watch. In these instances, if any of them were to be false, something extremely major, even the anime thing, something extremely major would have had to have, completely changed in my perceived reality. Because even just the anime thing, it would have had to have been a figment of my imagination this entire time. So I know, not believe, I know they're true. The sun, my wife, anime, I know those are true. So back to characters and hacks or powers. Do we know what would happen if one character was to use their powers on another in a different series? Of course not. This isn't reality. We have to use inductive reasoning, get an idea of what would most likely happen, but none of us know what would happen. The difference in where people split in the versus community is those beliefs. So it's not knowledge. People are split in their beliefs on if certain hacks would work or not. So I want it to be understood, this is entirely in the realm of belief. These are things that could be false, but the other important thing is that to believe in things, there should be probable cause. I believe Bigfoot exists because I have a Bigfoot. That doesn't work. Not even I saw something hairy in the mountains. That's not close enough. For someone to believe something had to have convinced them. So if you believe a character's hacks would work on another character, you need to have a justification. So what is it? What evidence have you seen that has convinced you it would work? Say we see someone with mind control, but has only shown to mind control humans with no powers. Can they control Goku? This doesn't even get into characters showing resistance feats. Simply, could they even control a character with no hint at mind resist, but at Goku's level of power? If you say yes, what proof has convinced you it would work? Because it would work because I think mind control would work, or he hasn't shown to resist it before, is not even close to good enough. Basically comes down to this. If you're making the positive claim, such as, I know, or I believe, you need valid reasons and evidence to support those claims. If you aren't taking the positive claims, you simply are not convinced. But holy hell, okay, warning, if you say the mind control can't work on Goku, or could only work on humans, those are positive claims and also need the same valid reasons and evidence to hold. It's not the same. Saying there's no way it can work and I'm not convinced it would work are two entirely different positions. So one last thing to mention here is, additionally, claiming any given hacks would work no matter what, we call that a no-limit fallacy. Please get out of here with that. Aizen's hypnosis, Itachi's genjutsu, Hiei's mind control, Boa's petrification, plenty more. None of these can be claimed to simply work on anyone, and need valid reasoning and proof to actually show or suggest it would work on any given character. So given all this, when we evaluate hacks, we should be looking for proof that actually suggests it could at all affect characters of a higher level than what it's shown, and then we can go into hacks resistance. Okay, so now that we've covered belief versus knowledge, and how to apply belief under reasonable evidence for things, let's move on to elements in a different, from series to series. Are we all aware these aren't real life? Because we all know this, right? We know physics, as we currently understand them, won't allow Superman to fly as fast as he does, the speed of light and how that works. Look, this goes directly into speed, but people love to pretend that an attack of an element is definitely the speed of that element. That they know, not believe, but know an attack of lightning moves at lightning speed, and the evidence for the lightning-based attack being lightning speed is that it's made of lightning, and sometimes not even natural lightning. How very reductive. This is like, Bigfoot is real because he's hairy and big and lives away from humanity. Hey, I saw a big hairy thing away from humanity. It's like that level of logic. Look, speed is simple. You're basically looking for distance divided by time. If you want to say an attack made of lightning is lightning speed, then what convinced you? It's called lightning? Has lightning in its name? Well, then should be no problem showing me a single instance of it moving 220 million miles per hour then. And does element coming out of a person or conjured by unnatural, not natural means actually equals speed of that element even make logical sense? It can be, sure, but proof, people. It matters. If someone shoots light from their body, it's light speed. If they shoot lightning, it's lightning speed. If they shoot ice from their bodies, it's ice speed? What? Lava speed? How about lead speed? Oh, this doesn't make sense anymore, huh? Should be calculated on its distance divided by time. Yeah, all of them should be. All of them should be using that calculation. That is literally the calculation of speed. So, lightning and light move the speed they do in natural instances, not from superpowers or some unnatural means, just please understand that it's as simple as distance divided by time. Before moving on to the biggest red flag in the Versus community that I see, unbacked claims, I would further like to add that too many times I see people conflate reaction time with speed. It's not even close to the same. Dodging, say, a natural lightning bolt is not even close to lightning speed. That's like if the bolt and them raced, they'd be equal. No. By the time the bolt has traveled nearly all the way to them, they managed to dodge. The bolt traveled a much further distance than the one who dodged in the same amount of time, even if given. Distance divided by time. So finally, unbacked and unproven claims or statements. We have statements ranging from, no one can beat me, to I'm the god of this place, to nothing could hurt me, etc. We still agree proof matters, right? I just want to stick to some obvious ones, though there are so many I wouldn't actually be able to cover them all. That said, we are once again in a situation where proof is what we want. I covered in another video how many people take Las Noches at the size of a small country. The problem here is the enormous amount of evidence to suggest it would be instead the size of a massive city at best. And of course, it could be even larger than that. Hell, perhaps the size of Hawaii. It's bleach, it's inconsistent as hell. We have statements that the columns are 30 meters in diameter, but Okiura on top of it shows that it's bigger than that. And when you compare their diameter to their height, they aren't that big. Nor are they necessarily small to the size of Las Noches. Direct showings and panels suggest it could even be town-sized, and it seems that the size of it as a palace is enormous, but only if we take it as the size of a single building, where if compared to the size of New York City, perhaps not out of proportion to that. Imagine a single palace the size of New York City. I'm sure it would only be described as enormous. However, the size of a city it would be. All this aside, we then get a statement saying it'd take 3 days to walk to the next gate. And well, common sense tells us, wait, 3 days? Do the math, and that's enormous. I think you're getting the idea here. I'm not saying Las Noches is a certain size, but I absolutely challenge it being the size of a small country, when so much evidence suggests it is much, much smaller. So belief versus knowledge. Why do I believe it's much smaller? Because I can point to the shown on-panel evidence for my case, whereas Nell's statement, where is the proof she's right? The evidence points to it being quite smaller. How about some Yu Yu Hakusho? We get one hell of a statement by one of the SDF members claiming Yusuke's power is infinitely above anything they've ever felt, which being the SDF, would be whatever is the strongest A-class demon they ever fought. Sensui also states that if he was to release 50% of his power, he could cause the human plane to collapse. Where is the proof it happened though? The most we get is that no other battle happens on Earth, true, but shaking Japan is not even close to collapsing the human plane. So let's get something understood. I don't need to see Goku destroy a planet to know he could, but I do need to see someone suggest they could actually collapse the human plane to believe Sensui could or not. The reason is because in one case there is actual evidence of such a feat from which we can scale, like Goku to Frieza, and there is none for Sensui. The statement, it doesn't hold. Genkai's statement also doesn't hold, and doesn't take destroying the world over time as a possibility. Statements have to have supporting evidence. Is Naruto's Odama Rasengan really the power of a small meteor? The Lariat definitely goes at the speed of light and always instant kills, right? Which makes double Lariat pointless since doubling the power of an instant kill does nothing. Can we all agree that these need feats to prove it? There should be a distance divided by time, feet, to suggest light speed, and it better be able to kill a multiversal level being that can be killed or something, since it can just one-shot based on its own databook statement. Next you'll be saying that Tsukiyomi simply can't be beaten, or that Kaguya is destroying the solar system, when really, or could destroy a solar system, when really all we have is a claim by Zetsu that she's making a new time-space, with no proof, of course. No wait, screw Kaguya. She'd be killed by Shigure from part 1 Naruto. In the top right you'll see it. Because as is stated, there's no way to escape his rain of needles. And, of course, his Sinban shower, his, signature technique, it's an instant kill technique after all. So, hell, even Whitebeard is a planet buster now. I see so many times these sorts of quotes with just zero supporting evidence, or with heavy evidence against the supporting evidence, because at least Bleach is, has some, actual evidence supporting it too. But, dang, people are taking these feats to their grave as the truth, and they don't even do the same for other series. It's insane. Hyperbole. I'm sure I don't have to show the definition, but we all know what medium we're in, right? These are not reality. Hyperbole is a language that, creators use to actually get points across, to really hype up the series, the characters, the different moves, but everybody tries to take it all literally, but only their series, whatever feels right to them, so that they can win. Versus community really still needs some help. Anyway, I'm just wanting proof for these things. Everyone should be wanting proof. And I personally, I can't stand this Weasley level of argumentation whenever I see it. But at this point, I've covered attack potency versus destructive capacity. I've lastly covered proper scaling. And now I'm going over applying logic to hacks, elements, and these statements. So from here on, I'm ready to start making some actual crossover matchups. I'll come up with a good one to start off that really showcases everything I've covered so far. But any suggestions are welcome, and I'm really excited for this. I will see all of you guys next time, and ciao.